Hi, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Driscoll.
And I'm Jim Kerr.
Welcome to 15 Minutes of Fame. All right, we've talked a lot about how the negotiations are going between the NHL and the NHLPA, but they hit just a bit of a snag last week. Just a little. What's the latest?
The NHLPA responded to the league's latest proposal.
Right.
Then talks broke off.
Sure.
So that tells you right there. Gary Bettman says unless salary rollbacks are a part of the discussion, there will be no discussion. And with the clock winding down, that's not what we want to hear. September 15th is coming up real quick. And you know what? It's not looking good at the moment. It seems like the NHL's hard line on that. They don't care about what happens in the event of a lockout. So I think it's the ball's firmly in the NHLPA's court. But in order to put the ball in play, they have to do something they really don't want to do. So that's a recipe for not hockey.
Nice sports analogy there, Jim. I like that. I enjoyed
Thank you.
that. Put the ball
Different
in play.
sport.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no way we start on time. There's no way. There's no way.
I feel like that was like a foosball analogy even.
It could have been a foosball.
So like a sport that we can play.
That's right. I like that.
Maybe professionally.
Maybe.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any chance that this is going our way.
No, not at all. And our way being the fans' way, which, of course, in the talks, you see on Twitter all the time, hashtag like NHLPA or the players, and then hashtag like NHL. Like, you don't really see, like, the fan. Well, you do see the fans a little bit. It just doesn't matter is what I'm saying. Yeah,
and you know how you can tell that the NHL really doesn't care? The NHLPA is doing a lot of stuff on the internet and Twitter. You were mentioning a video you watched where it's, hey guys, like this is, get on our side like this. The NHL's doing none of that.
No.
Because we'll be back. Like we said last week, we'll be back. The fringe fans will be back. Everything will be the same. The players aren't going to some lesser league in Europe or Russia. So what's the big deal? Lock you out for a bit. We'll get what we want. Boom.
Well, exactly. I enjoy how the players are trying to get the fans on their side, a little bit different from 6 years ago, and that's fine and that's great. And I think the players are going to be able to do that. Again, like we were talking, it just doesn't matter, Jim.
No.
Like they can get us on their sides all they want. Where you could have protests in every NHL city. It's just not going to matter because the owners just don't want to pay as much as they are right now.
Yep. Even if the bulk of hardcore hockey fans become indifferent, you'll still be back.
Absolutely.
It's just there's no way around it. You're not going to take up knitting. It's just you might, but you could still sit in front of the TV and do that.
I would knit and watch the Oilers. That's what I would do.
I'm going to knit my own merchandise.
Nice. Sell that. Except for you don't want to get sued. But still,
That's true. That's true. Reasonable facsimile.
That's right.
That's what I'll be going for.
On a more positive hockey note, let's talk a little Oilers news. In the last 2 weeks, the team has locked up 2 of its young stars in Taylor Hall and Jordan Eberle. What do you think of those deals and in terms of what we just talked about and the CBA negotiations as well?
Well, let's start off with the terms.
Sure.
They signed Hall to a 7-year deal worth $42 million. They signed Eberle to a 6-year, $36 million deal. Both good players, both making about $6 million a year on average. It's a lot of money, but that's how it goes in the NHL. Right. You want to keep, in terms of the Oilers, you want to keep these guys. You want to keep them, first of all. You want to keep them happy. And, they're good enough players that I know there's a lot of people that are heavy into the stats and the analysis and the, every minute statistical category. I'm not. I watch.
You just like watching them.
Yeah, I watch and I make up my mind that way.
Right.
I'm sure there's a case for maybe less money or shorter terms, but that's in the NHL. You look at comparable players. You look at how much these guys have done in the in the short time they've been in the NHL. You keep those guys happy, they become superstars in the NHL. You made a great move. It doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. I'm sure it will. They're really great players. They're both top end players. They're buddies. They're happy. They want to be here. So that's good. In terms of what we're talking about with the NHLPA and the NHL, Larry Brooks from the New York Post pointed out that something like 7 of the last 9 one-way contracts handed out have been 6+ years. And, of course, one of the big things the NHL and the owners are pushing for is 5-year or less contracts with equal money every year, blah, blah, blah. So not that.
Yeah.
7 of the last 9 one-way contracts are the opposite of what they're trying to push and what they're going to lock out the players over.
Yeah.
Really? Really?
Do you really think they're together on this? No, I don't think so.
Like we're saying that the players are trying to get us on their side and everything. The owners aren't. They're actually doing more than not trying to get us on their side.
They're actually going on the offensive.
They're laughing in our faces.
That's right.
Say, hey, we want all this stuff. Hey, but watch this. That's what it is, and we'll be back.
We'll be back.
It makes me feel like what am I doing with my life?
Absolutely.
Why am I such a slave to these guys?
I like that you mentioned the $42 million and the $60 and $36 million for Eberle. Luckily, we're only going to have to pay like 75% of that because they're going to take a 25% rollback anyway. So don't even worry about those numbers, man. Yeah, it's not even that bad. $6 million minus 25%. You're smart. Figure it out. But less than that. It's 25% less than that. That's as far as I can go with the math. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, I think they're good deals. Hopefully the Oilers don't get bit by running out of salary cap space when they roll it back to $30 million or whatever.
Exactly.
They roll it back to $12 million, and we got just 2 players under contract. And we got to have a team of volunteers playing with these guys. But they're good deals within the market. I think both players are going to be, when you look back on their careers, they're going to be well worth that money.
Absolutely.
And just hopefully the $6 million a year doesn't make them less driven to be the best players they can be. Because sometimes you see that where a guy's not really worried about the future anymore because he's locked up and maybe his play slips. But I think these two are fierce competitors who are going to want to have some success, especially the way the last couple of years have gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to win games, and you want to make the playoffs, and you want to go deep into the playoffs, and maybe one day you want to lift that Stanley Cup. So hopefully, yeah, and I think this is a good first step in getting that core of a team locked up. You see a lot of teams in the last several years that have that core of young, high-end players, and they've, Pittsburgh, Chicago, a lot of these, and they get all the way, even LA to a point. They got this young group of players all locked in long-term. They build around them, and good things happen. So hopefully this is the first step towards that.
No, I agree completely, absolutely.
Even if they're more than 5-year contracts.
That's right. Well, in CFL news, the Eskimos play the Stamps in the big Labor Day Classic game, with Kerry Joseph getting the start over Stephen Giles. What did you think about the game from the Green and Gold gym?
You know what? They started a bit slow.
They did.
Kerry Joseph got rolling. A beautiful pass to Fred Stamps. A great snag by him. He had a couple big catches. Hugh Charles, running back, making over 100 yards receiving.
Yes.
They played well. They were down. They were up. They fell back behind again. A couple of quick touchdowns. They're back in the game. A big pick six from the defense. But in the end, they give up a late touchdown. They can't. They maybe a mental error on the kickoff, and then they end up coming up just shy, 31-30. Tough way to lose. At least they're putting up points. They may be giving up a little more than they're hoping to, but I thought it was almost a nice, complete, well-rounded game from them. Just a couple maybe mental mistakes here and there. Hopefully we'll get them on Friday.
I was particularly impressed with Kerry Joseph. I thought he played really well. You're right, there were a couple of amazing mistakes. Armando Sewell just gets worked in the first quarter, absolutely blown by. That's the type of hit that'll make it on American TV. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But he got right back up, and he played an excellent game after that. He played really well. So that drops the Eskimos down to 5-4, which ties them with the Stampeders going into the Friday back-to-back home-and-home game. So they didn't catch the BC Lions on this one. This was a big game. We'll see what happens on Friday. That's why I love the Labor Day Classic game, is because by this time in the season, there's usually some really important games to be had, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Friday. Well, yeah, and they didn't have Corey Boyd in the lineup. They rested him, so they'll have some fresh legs at that point, and maybe a different look to the offense. Jerome Messam had a pretty good first game back. Yeah, he's a big boy. I think we could definitely use another body back there, but it'll be interesting to see. Do you go with Joseph? Do you go with Giles? Joseph played a good game. He played not what I was expecting. Yeah, exactly. Couple really, you can see he's still got a strong arm. That's good to see, but.
it's going to be tough. I don't know which quarterback you go with. I think Giles is a little bit banged up. If he's healthy, do you throw him back in? Do you maybe give them both some reps during the game, see who gets on a roll? I don't know, but hopefully on Friday we see another strong effort from the Eskimos. This game was in their grasp, within their grasp. They could have had it. Would have been a great win if they won, but because they lost, we're looking at mental mistakes. We're looking at a couple plays here and there. But really, at the end of the day, if you're the coach, you want your team to be in the game. You want them to, even if they lose, they can look at this game and say this was a winnable game. It just wasn't ours on the day. Let's get back to work Friday. Let's show them what's up.
Absolutely. So the Paralympics are going on in London. Of course, they follow the Olympics every year. An interesting note from those Paralympics: Oscar Pistorius, who's made the show headlines a couple of times. So he made some headlines this week, but not for the usual reasons, Jim.
Yeah, Blade Runner, as he's known, lost the 200-meter final to Brazilian Alan Oliveira, then complained after the race that Oliveira's carbon fiber legs were longer than what should be allowed. Now, he apologized for the post-race rant. He said, it was his moment. I shouldn't have said that. But he did stick by his opinion on the matter. He says that guys can make themselves as tall as they want. And, of course, with height comes a longer stride. And he says, you watch that race, it's obvious that the guys' blades are longer than what they should be. And so that they're going to meet with him about it, and they're going to have a talk. And, the outcome of the race is going to stand, of course. But maybe there's some changes on the way because of this. But it was a huge upset for Pistorius to lose. And I couldn't believe when I saw that, this man that was in the Olympics, is here losing in the 200-meter final. So very interesting story, and you got to wonder if other athletes are going to say, well, I should be allowed to compete in the able-bodied Olympics as well, because this guy can. I beat him. So that's this could be opening up a whole realm of uncharted territory in terms of track and field here.
And I hope it does, Jim. I've said this before on the show. I don't know. I'm happy that the barriers are being broken with this Pistorius thing and going to the Olympics, all of that. I really am, because I want the debate to happen. But I worry, because, you could have all these different rules, and for Pistorius to come out after having questions asked about him and whether he has an advantage with, bionic legs, basically, for him to come out like that is absolutely amazing, and probably ill-timed at the very least, and probably just straight wrong at the worst. But I hope the questions get answered, because we're in an interesting time in the world where, that could be an advantage, having those legs, and he talks about them, and it's something that really does need to get figured out. So I hope it does over the next little while.
It's not a story that I expected to read, I'll tell you that right now.
No kidding. Well, finally here on the rundown, folks, the Stephen Strasburg storyline is about to wrap up for the Washington Nationals.
September 12th is his last start,
apparently.
And that's it.
Should
be fun to see how it affects the team. They're well above 500. It won't affect them in the regular season. I believe I read he's probably in line for 3 more starts if he stays in. But come the playoffs, does that hurt them? Maybe, maybe not. I guess good on them for sticking to their guns and not bowing to pressure from people on the outside who don't know as much as of the situation as they do with the intimate knowledge of his recovery and his arm and his habits. But it's you got to just shake your head. And if you're him, you're saying, man, the postseason comes around so little for a lot of players in baseball, and you're going to sit me? Like, some people are saying he should be asking for a trade.
Wow.
But
he's an amazing player and an amazing pitcher right now, and so he's apparently going to be sitting down with his pitching coach and the regular coach and all the other guys today, and they're supposed to get a little bit of a what's going on here. But I don't know, Jim. Are you sure? Are you sure you're not going to see him in the postseason if they make it deep? I would be so surprised to see a pitcher of his caliber sitting the entire postseason. That'd be amazing to me. And does he get a ring? If so,
good point. And pitching is so important in the postseason. So maybe he pops. Maybe they change their mind late in the playoffs if they go deep. But
that's right.
If you're him, you got to be upset.
Oh, you got to.
They'll try to convince him that it's for the best, but
Imagine.
That's a tough one, especially for a young guy. That's a tough one to say he never makes the playoffs again in his life.
No kidding. Amazing. Let's move on to the GABBYs now. Let's give a good to a couple of video games. First, how about Madden 13 selling something like 900,000 units on the first day alone? People were thinking it was going to be big, but they never thought like that big. And let's give a shout-out as well to NHL 13. They added a number of female hockey players, including Haley Wickenheiser. So now you can play as Haley Wickenheiser. Arguably, not really arguably, the best woman hockey player ever to play. That's a solid move. I like it. Good for NHL 13.
Yeah, EA Sports is the best,
Absolutely.
and that's why. That's two reasons right there. They're the best. Okay, hate him or love him, you have to admit, Jeff, Floyd Mayweather, Money Mayweather, isn't scared to put his money where his mouth is and put down a load of cash on sporting events. We're giving him a good this week because apparently he won $3 million on the Michigan-Alabama football game last weekend, a 41-14 Alabama win. There was rumors that he was betting on Michigan, but it sounds like he pulled a fast one on everyone, and because it was a Twitter picture of him, 50 Cent, I believe, holding all of his winnings. It was just money everywhere.
Unbelievable.
That's gutsy to put any kind of big amount of, but millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
And
I wonder which book he took that, because that's amazing. That's a big loss right there. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Finally, good to Joey Chestnut, who downed 191 wings in 12 minutes at the National Buffalo Wing Festival in Buffalo, New York. A lot of people would think, what's that doing on a sports show? Well, come on now. This is
competitive eating.
I love it. It's great.
Plus, we love wings.
So
never mind.
Exactly. That's about 7 pounds of wings and breaks a previous record of 183. Took him 6 hours to recover before he get this gym, went out and partied. Attaboy. Jim, one time I was in a chicken wing eating contest. In fact, I think I saw you afterwards. We were all supposed to go out for a beer or two afterwards. Might have been a hockey game or something like that. I almost died. Couldn't have made it. So
was that when you set the record?
Well, my personal record. Absolutely.
On the bad side this week, this is more of an awkward.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
Penn State is dropping "Sweet Caroline" from its game day tradition because of the lyrics "Touching me, touching you," which they decided was inappropriate. Something the fans usually sing during the games. To make matters worse, that song's about an 11-year-old girl at the time.
Really
I think when Neil Diamond wrote it. So it was awkward already. Now it's double awkward, but now it's just off. It's gone. So
I'm happy they got rid of it.
No more awkwardness.
That is as awkward as you can get. Good for, a bad to the California mother who lost her job because she tried to get off work to watch her kid play in the Little League World Series. Billy Ann Tomei lost her job, but her kid made it to the U.S. Finals, so at least she's got that. I'm sure she'll get another job.
Yeah, maybe she can't afford to sign him up next year, but
Valid.
Yeah, but that's a strange.
That's tough. Yeah.
Just
things are bad in the States. Apparently, that bad.
Yeah, baseball, I tell you. Finally, a bad to pro golfer, Charl Schwartzel, who 4-putted on 18 at the Deutsche Bank Championship on the weekend, finishing the round with an 8 over 79 and launching him down the standings to a point where he was not in contention anymore. But it's always funny to watch a pro look like me.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Even
I 4-putt, so you know how bad that can be.
I'm just thinking of all the frustrations I've had trying to get it through the clown's mouth in the mini golf, and
just brutal.
But
right?
no one's watching me when I do that.
And millions aren't on the line.
Everybody's watching this guy.
That's right.
Mine's not going to be on YouTube with 1 million hits. His is going to be on YouTube with 1 million hits.
That's too bad.
I don't play golf for a living. He's at least got that.
At least got that. Well, the punchline this week, thank God, is the Toronto Maple Leafs gym.
This is a weird one, Jeff. The Leafs offered fans a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity last week on their website. They had a live stream of the ice at the ACC where fans could literally watch paint dry live.
Yes.
Sadly, that might be as good as it gets for a while in the NHL.
Sadly, that's the best thing Leaf fans have been able to watch since 1967.
That's right. That's at least a tie. They're not losing.
They're not losing.
I think I would rather watch paint dry than watch like a live stream of the labor talks, though.
Oh, man. Totally. It'd probably be more interesting.
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah. Blah, blah. That's all I would hear, I think, if I was watching that.
You'd be like the teacher off of Peanuts, off of Charlie the Brown.
Rabble, 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 rabble. Rabble, 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 rabble. Salary rollbacks. No salary rollbacks. Rabble, rabble. Rabble.
Well,
Recess.
On that note, I would say we're going to be talking about this a few more times over the rest of the summer, or at least the rest of the couple of weeks.
We might put it on recess, too.
Yeah, we should. We should exactly do that. Anyways, our 15 Minutes of Fame are way up for this week. Join us again next week when we get a whole new 15 Minutes of Fame. In the meantime, I'm Oscar Pistorius.
And I'm the other guy.
Have a good week, folks.